What's going on, everyone? Today we're exploring Capitol Reef, one of Utah's mighty 5 national parks. But we're not just exploring the surface level touristy spots. We're diving deep into the hidden gems that this park has to offer. I would argue that Capitol Reef gets the least amount of love of any of Utah's mighty 5, but I can confidently say it is the most underrated and has so many amazing places you've probably never even heard of. So that's what this video is going to be all about. I have a top 10 hikes video for Capitol Reef on the channel, but this video is going to be diving much deeper, just exploring the hidden gems. So let's dive right in. This is 5 places in Capitol Reef you've never heard of. Capitol Reef is the most remote of the 5 parks, so you'll have to drive there no matter where you live or where you fly into. Because it's the most remote, it's likely why it gets the least amount of love and the least amount of visitors. Most people just drive right through the main park road, but you could easily spend a week here and still barely scratch the surface. For accommodations, your best option is the town of Torrey, or you could also wild camp at a handful of places to the eastern side of the park. And the last note I want to mention is that some of the places on this list are only accessible with 4-wheel drive and or a high clearance vehicle. For the most updated road conditions, I would check the park website or call the visitor center. First up on the list, we have Headquarters Canyon, an amazing trail for those looking to explore Capitol Reef slot canyons without the extensive commitment of other longer hikes in the park. You will have to drive a dirt road to get to the trailhead, but pretty much any car can make this one, and All Trails has this at 2.6 miles round trip with 650 feet of elevation gain, but when Bree and I hiked it, we recorded 3.4 miles with only 500 feet of elevation gain. If even that, the trail actually felt mostly flat. The trail goes through narrow, winding passages carved by water and wind over millennia. Unlike some of the park's more popular trails, Headquarters Canyon tends to be less crowded, and there's only a few spots at the trailhead. It's definitely one of those places that very few tourists make it to. It's an extremely tranquil escape into the park, and we didn't see a single other person the entire time we were here. At number 2, we actually have a place that we found by accident. It's along the Cathedral Valley Loop Road, and it's called the Gypsum Sinkhole. This is a fascinating geological feature that goes over 200 feet deep into the earth. This impressive sinkhole is a favorite among geology enthusiasts and photographers. The scale of the sinkhole is so hard to comprehend. No matter what lens Bree and I used, we couldn't get the whole thing to fit in a single photo or video. The hike to Gypsum Sinkhole is just a few hundred feet from the car. It's not going to be more than a half-mile round trip, but the remote location means you will likely have the place all to yourself. We only saw one other person while we were there, and he was only there for a few minutes, so we mostly had the place to ourselves. The Cathedral Valley Loop, where the sinkhole is a 58-mile scenic drive. Some of the road is accessible for any car, but you'll likely need clearance or 4-wheel drive to get to Gypsum Sinkhole, and no matter what, I definitely recommend downloading offline maps if you're visiting here, because there's not cell service anywhere. At number 3, we have the Notm Bullfrog Road all the way down to the Bird Trail switchbacks. The drive to the switchbacks is on the eastern side of the park, and the Bird Trail switchbacks are in the very southern part of the park. Not many people come down this way. It is so remote and beautiful and untouched. The Bird Trail switchbacks are dramatic and very beautiful as they wind up the mountain. To visit here, it is going to be a big full day outing, mostly because of the long driving times. We drove through the park and then drove the Notm Bullfrog Road south along the eastern side of Capitol Reef, and then we drove up the Bird Trail switchbacks and then drove back to Torrey on the west side of the park, passing through the small town of Boulder. I would argue that a 2-wheel drive could make the drive, but it could be a little dicey in some spots. At number 4, we have Strike Valley Overlook, which is more or less a side quest that you would do when visiting the Bird Trail switchbacks previously mentioned. Reaching the Strike Valley Overlook is an adventure in itself thanks to the scenic drive along the Bird Trail switchbacks. Once you pass the switchbacks, there is a right turn onto another road that will take you to the Strike Valley Overlook trailhead. From the turnoff, it is 3 miles to the trailhead and 3 miles back to the turnoff. You will absolutely need 4-wheel drive and clearance for this section, otherwise you're going to have to park your car at the road turnoff and then hike from there, which will be 6.2 miles round trip. But once you're at the actual trailhead, the hike to the Overlook is relatively short but steep. I don't think we did more than a half-mile round trip, and it rewards you with one of the best panoramic views in the park, and a view that I would bet that less than 5% of the national park visitors ever see. From the top, you'll gaze out over the expansive water pocket fold and the surrounding valleys, a perfect spot for landscape photography or simply soaking in the beauty, and you'll also see the Henry Mountains in the distance and the mesas of Caneville Rockville, and Hanksville. And once you're on the 3-mile drive to the trailhead from the turnoff, you will also get to see views of Peekaboo Arch, Trinity Double Arch, and Cheerios Arch. Strike Valley Overlook is such a remote area of Utah that I had to keep reminding myself that I was in a commercial national park. And if this is your first time to the channel, make sure to subscribe to see more top 10s, travel guides, cinematic films, and hiking vlogs. Bree and I have been traveling more or less full time for the last 9+ years and have been creating on YouTube for over 5 years now. There's something on the channel for everyone. We have top 10s for every one of Utah's mighty 5 parks and so much more. Anyways, back to the list. At number 5, we have the Burro Wash Trail. This hike is for the adventurous spirit. Burro Wash offers a scenic hike through a stunning slot canyon. This 6-mile round-trip trail involves some scrambling and navigating through tight passages and slot canyons, making it best suited for experienced hikers, and there is definitely some route finding in the beginning. The beginning of the hike is relatively boring if I'm being honest. You're just hiking through a dried up river wash, but once you enter the national park boundary, it gets very scenic very quick. Bree and I only recorded 6 miles with 400 feet of elevation gain, but then there was a rock that felt too risky and dangerous to climb and pass, so we turned around, but I feel like we saw the best that the trail had to offer, so we were totally fine with turning around where we did. This was another spot on the list where we were the only car at the trailhead and had the entire hike to ourselves. We didn't see a single other person and we were here for hours. And this is definitely another one where you want offline maps downloaded to make sure that you stay on the proper hiking route. And another bonus on this hike is that you get to see Burro Wash Arch. And if you'd like more information of this hike specifically, Bree and I have a vlog from this one on the channel. And a quick bonus at number 6 I'd like to add is the Cathedral Valley Overlook. If you're going to visit Gypsum Sinkhole, number 2 on this list, you're probably also visiting Temple of the Sun and Moon, in which case you might as well drive the entire Cathedral Valley loop, which would take you straight to Cathedral Valley Overlook before you return to Torrey. Seeing this side of Capitol Reef from above is a surreal sight to say the least. And one last quick bonus before wrapping up is Singing Canyon. This is technically outside of the national park boundary. However, if you're staying in Torrey and you visit the Bird Trail Switchbacks or Strike Valley Overlook, you will likely drive right past this, and it's well worth the stop. Plus, Singing Canyon is only a few hundred feet away from where you park, so it's a great way to break up the drive back to Torrey. Anyways, that's gonna wrap up this video. I hope you like this deep dive overviewing some of my favorite Capitol Reef hidden gems, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it's the easiest way to support Bree and I's creators. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you later.